We are meeting quarterly, and this is our second virtual chapter meeting this week. Different subject, and it turns out it's a very hot subject. Today we're going to be talking about ghost kitchens and whether it's a great concept or if they're haunting you in the spirit of Halloween. I will tell you that this is such a hot subject, and I'm not so sure that everyone understands this subject and how it applies, and also how it applies from a restaurant brand standpoint. And as we get into it today, I think you're going to understand that our speaker is and our presenter today is very well versed in this, but also having come from the traditional restaurant segments, I think brings some additional perspective in the subject. Before we get started, let me go ahead and make a couple of announcements here. So our agenda today, we're going to do the virtual session. We will do a fireside chat of sorts between myself and Geoff Alexander. We will then open it up for live Q&A, which means that's you. And then we will open it up for our normal discussion that we would have, at a chapter meeting for any subject that you want to talk about or to share your own experiences. As far as housekeeping, everyone is going to be muted until we get to the Q&A, and then we'll ask you to unmute. And then if you have questions, you can do it in the Q&A tab, although I know people don't always follow instructions on that, so they put it in the chat, which is fine. Either way, we will see it, and we'll try to tee those up during the call. And you should stay away from any questions regarding sales, pricing, political discussions, or any disparaging remarks. And as usual, there will be a recording of this webinar that's made available on the ifbta.org website, and that's available to our members. It's not something that we just post out there, so membership has its privileges. And then one more thing, we have one more quarterly virtual chapter meeting tomorrow. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be technology and fragmentation of the guest experience. And Don Fox, who is the CEO of Firehouse Subs, is going to be speaking from his perspective, and he has some very strong opinions in this particular area. And so we'll look forward to doing that tomorrow. So with that, I want you to meet our speaker, the Messiah of Ghost Kitchens, as he's called. And he will be talking to us about the different nuances in this particular area and why perhaps it's important. And also maybe, is this a flash in the pan? Is it a trend? Is it something you should be considering? And we can go ahead and pick his brain as well. So Geoff, welcome to the chapter meeting. And maybe we just start with you giving some background both in yourself and in your perspective on the topic, and then we can just go ahead and start the discussion. So Messiah, over to you.
Thank you. We'll stop with the Messiah and just let it be Geoff. But hello to everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm a friend of the IFBTA. I've spoken to this group a few times, and I appreciate you having me today. I am the president and CEO of Wow Bao. Wow Bao is a 4-unit quick serve fast casual Asian concept based here in Chicago. Founded by Lettuce Entertain Enterprises, started in 2003. I joined Lettuce in 1993, took over Wow Bao in 2009, and in 2017, Valor Equity Partners took a majority stake to fund our growth. We've always been really at the forefront of technology. Back in 2010, we had self-ordering kiosks. We had an app in the App Store when there was only 300,000 apps at the time. We had mobile desktop ordering back in 2010. So we've just done a lot with technology over the years. In 2017, we had a fully automated front of the house restaurant where you order off of iPad or your phone, and food was delivered to you via cubbies, LED personalized cubby with animation and names on it. We opened 3 of those in the coming years. In 2017, we opened up in LA about 90 days post-acquisition with Valor in a cloud kitchen environment. So we've done the cloud kitchen thing as well. And then in 2019, we talked about how do we want to grow the brand and what's next for us. We've done airports, college campuses, sports stadiums, music venues, food trucks. We're in grocery stores with our product line. And we thought between Lettuce's network and portfolio of restaurants and Valor's network and portfolio of restaurants, why can't other restaurants sell our food out their backdoor third-party delivery? We thought about the mom and pop coffee shop that only has 2 day parts. We thought about the ice cream store that only has, 8 months out of the year of business because 4 months is too cold, at least in Chicago. We thought about the hotel operator that has a full room service staff, but nobody's ordering room service, so the kitchens team is standing around. And we thought about catering groups who place a very large catering order out their kitchen, Thursday night, and the rest of the week sits empty. And all of these groups could benefit from selling WowBow on third-party delivery platforms, growing top-line sales and increasing bottom-line profits. So we spent the next 8 weeks working on online training materials, building out supply chain, marketing initiatives, and launched in January 2020 with one restaurant as a test, started gathering data and building our network. And then April, COVID hit. And from April 2020 till today, we're over 450 locations open. We'll be at 500 by the end of this month with a robust pipeline to follow. That's the introduction.
So could you, to go to that many restaurants and units, I know that we have people who are actually on this call who started virtual concepts and things, but this is a little different. You also mentioned that you'd started with Cloud Kitchen, and I know you're working on several different fronts. Do you want to go ahead and give us the definition, so that we're all on the same page? Because it is a little confusing, and we all seem to be hearing the word ghost kitchen all the time, but
Sure.
We don't necessarily hear the other terms.
Yeah, thank you. So look, I did not coin any of these phrases: ghost kitchen, virtual kitchen, dark kitchen. And I'm sure if you ask 10 different people, you can get 10 different answers on how they are defined. But the way that I look at them is this way. Cloud kitchen is an environment that has basically a warehouse or a building that has multiple kitchens in it, and they are renting out space for people to work in, right? So Cloud Kitchen, which was founded and then sold off to Travis, who founded Uber, is now opening these up across the country. Kitchen United does it, Epic Kitchens does it, All Day Kitchens, a number of places do this. So they basically rent to restaurants or to people's startups kitchen space. That's a cloud kitchen environment. Then you have virtual kitchens, which in my world only live in the virtual realm. So you cannot ever find a brick and mortar. You cannot go there. Cloud kitchens do allow you to pick up from it. A virtual brand is strictly that. It is virtual. It does not exist anywhere but on an app. Then what we use the phrase dark kitchen. And in our mind, there's area of your restaurant that may be dark, whether it's your kitchen was built too large, due to COVID, you have restrictions, you're not utilizing the entire space, but there's an area of your business that is not being utilized. And we believe we can bring light to that area of the kitchen, that we can get people working in it, and then we can help raise sales and profits to keep the rents being paid, people employed, and so on.
So you're really using the excess time and space, but it's not your brand versus expanding your brand some of the other ways. But you did say that, and if you think about the cloud kitchen, the way you described it, it's almost like the food hall craze, if you want to look at it that way, that they were bringing multiple concepts into a food hall to have things prepared.
Yeah, the difference with a food hall, I guess, as a consumer is you can go place to place and shop. And in a cloud kitchen, each operator really works individually. Back in 2017, when we were inside Cloud Kitchen in LA, so everyone had a 200 square foot kitchen. And inside the kitchen, you got a stove, you got, a 3-compartment sink, a 2-door refrigerator, and an Ansel system. And then the operator, the host ran the technology that you got all your orders through. And I remember there was this guy who had a 200 square foot pizza shop, and he had 32 tablets along the wall. And what happened was he would come in every morning and he would build or make 4 different kinds of dough. But it was the exact same pepperoni, same sauce, same green pepper, same everything. But the dough was different. So he was running 4 different pizza shops out of the same 200 square foot kitchen. And that was one of the big aha moments in my career. Like, how genius was that? Taking your space and using it to the best of your ability to increase your sales. That's basically what we're offering to people with WildBow. We're working with restaurants or hotels or catering companies or juice bars, and giving them the ability to either use existing equipment or very small needed equipment, because all of our food is steamed. If you can boil water, you can serve Wow. And now what you're doing is taking your existing space, you're already paying rent, you already have employees, you're already paying the electricity and the utilities, and now you can serve an entire separate concept on third-party delivery platforms.
So if a person wants to, let's look at this two ways. Would you first of all recommend this for anyone? So I know this puts you on the spot because it creates competition, but can any brand decide to go ahead and go the dark kitchen concept? Or what is the consideration for somebody who thinks that they want to actually operate, serving somebody else? What's the advantage and disadvantage of wanting to operate? I mean, I think the hotel guys probably get it because it's not necessarily their direct business. But if you're a restaurateur.
Yeah, so there's different things right now, right? We've had more innovation and evolution in the last 16 months than the industry's ever seen. And we're playing catch up and running at speeds that we're not used to doing. There are some people out there who are creating a brand and selling it out their back door that they never had before. The most famous, obviously, is Just Be Wings that Chili's did, right? Overnight, they launched 1,000 chicken wing stores. If you're Chili's and you have $3 billion, that's easy to do. If I'm Geoff's Pizza Shop and I want to sell hot dogs tomorrow, well, there's work that really has to be done that I don't know everybody considers. Can I just start selling hot dogs tomorrow on Uber Eats as Geoff's Hot Dog Shop? Absolutely, I can. But to do it right, you need good photography. That costs money. You need R&D to come up with a good menu. That costs money. Does the packaging work? Right? Does the hot food stay hot? Does the cold food stay cold? Does your food reheat? Are you using logoed stuff? All of this takes time, energy, and money. So for those who literally start a virtual brand tomorrow, I wish you luck. I think it's great entrepreneurial spirit and it can work. However, you don't have a soul. You don't have a story. Wow is an 18-year-old brand. You can Google us, social us, right? You can learn about us. We exist. We give you all the tools. We have all the photography. We have everything you need to be successful. And we have a marketing plan. And we have a following. And we have, lookalike customers. So yes, you can just turn something on tomorrow like Chili's did. But I'll tell you, Chili's can also buy billboards. And they can make you think Just Be Wings has been around for decades. And you wouldn't know any different. Geoff's hot dog stand starting tomorrow. Well, I don't know if anyone's going to eat it.
Well, okay. So basically, the sales pitch you just made or the explanation you just made is the same one who's trying to sell a franchise versus developing your own brand. Why should you be a franchisee and pay the 5 or 8%, versus doing your own? That's always that sort of discussion. Because you have the marketing, the concept. And and I know we have some hotel people on this, if I was a hotel person, why should you join my brand and have my flag? Because I'm bringing you reservations and I do the marketing and I have the audience, right? So it's actually sort of the same sort of pitch. So in your world, as you're going and seeking, what should we call them? Are they franchisees? What should we call it?
We stay away from the word franchise. We do resale agreements. So we actually look at people being our partners, but it's a resale that we do. So the way Wow is structured, I'm sorry, I'm going to get off track for 1 second. We sell our product into distribution. The operator then buys the product. In that transaction is how we make our money. There's no royalties paid to us. So basically, we've created a menu that's a 35% food and packaging cost of goods with an average 25% third-party commission. That's 60 points. That leaves 40% for the operator to bring to the bottom line. If you do $2,000 a week in sales, that's $100,000 a year annual run rate. You keep $40,000. If you have 10 locations, you just made $500,000.
And so when you are looking for your, what do we call them, dealers, distribution partners, when we're looking for those people, what are the qualifications you look at? Because I guess I could call you up, tell you I've got a kitchen, and I'll just make them out of my house.
Yeah, we hear about people who want to do it out of their, college dorm. So look, we want to work with good people. That's what's important to us. We built this idea, as I said, November of 29 to help restaurants survive and to grow sales. So what are the what are the qualifications? We don't have a check and balance sheet. When incoming queries come in, we look at your website, we look at your Yelp reviews, we try to get a feel. Are you savvy? Are you, a true entrepreneur at heart? And what's important to us is you're going to maintain our brand standards, because at the end of the day, and anyone who's been in the franchise world knows, giving away your brand is the most dangerous thing you can do. So we don't want to just work with anybody. We want to work with people who are actually going to embrace what we're doing. And it's important to us that you do a minimum of $2,000 a week in sales. Do I have operators who are doing 10,000 a week, 8,000 a week, 6,000 a week? Yes, we do. And you can see how much money they're bringing to the bottom line. Do we have some operators who are doing $1,000 a week? We do, but we don't want them to be doing $1,000 a week. And if you're happy with the $1,000 a week, God bless you. But we want to help push you to that $2,000 or that $3,000. This is a business at the end of the day. It's not just a side hustle to make sales. It's my brand that's being represented, and we need people who are going to maintain the brand standard.
And that actually was going to be my next question. Are they 100% of the time doing it as your brand, or are there also scenarios where, as a production company, you're producing a product that they can put on their menu as part of what they're doing and not necessarily branded?
Yeah, we do not. The only people we've ever done that with is some hotel groups have put it on like their catering menu. But what we've created here is that we are WowBow on the third-party platforms, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, or some smaller ones that are in certain markets as WowBow. We are not an additional menu item for your menu. That is not what we are trying to do.
So if I'm setting this up, since you've now brought up the third-party apps, so basically it's almost a plug and play as it goes to the distribution, the ordering side, because you've set up the networks for them to be able to place the order. So it's not necessarily up to me to decide that if I don't want to do business with one of those guys, I think I need to go through the network you've set up, right?
So you don't have to run all three platforms, right? If you only want to work with DoorDash, just work with DoorDash. I like sales, so the more platforms you're on, the more sales you're on. But yeah, we've developed relationships with all the third parties. We've contracted commission pricing. We've secured marketing support. We've given everyone the assets, again, the photos, the menu descriptions, every piece needed. You, operator, will sign the deal with the third party because you own the tablets and you own the relationship, but we make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. And then we have a whole audit program where we go in weekly. Are we on the tablets correctly? Do we have the right hashtags? Are items 86? How's downtime on the tablet? What's going on with customer reviews? What's happening with cancellation percentages and so on?
So, okay. So, I mean, you really are helping the people to do it. So you have such a wide variety of people you can work with, because I think you've mentioned grocery stores and there's all kinds. Is there a specific target market, like of the ideal type? Is it an independent? Could it be a chain? What is the ideal market that you think is going to be out there for your type of products going forward in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I don't know if we have an ideal market. We definitely like, the small S&B operators, right? We like to have a whole bunch of those. Enterprise are great because we both learn from each other. We do very well in more rural areas. I think that's probably because there's fewer Chinese restaurants. That's the other thing that we offer, right? Again, I could be Geoff's hot dog stand tomorrow, or God forbid, another wing concept, right? There's plenty of those. But we're offering operators the chance to turn on an ethnic cuisine that they can normally not cook, and with a small competitive set. And that's why I think we do better in these smaller markets, because there's not a lot of other players doing Chinese, or at least not doing Chinese well. Chinese gets a bad rap. And our food is just steam cooking, which is the cleanest form of cooking, doing a product that not everybody can offer. So, we look for good operators who will take care of our brand. That's the biggest thing we look for. Okay.
So is there a downside? I mean, do you think that this is a trend? Is it a fad?
Is it downside to everything, Rob? Everything has a downside.
Well, so what So are there some potholes here that you think could come in? I was on a call earlier today, and we were talking about contactless payment, and they brought up the whole thing that not everybody, not contactless, but cashless payment, and they bring up the issue that not everybody is able to have access to be able to do cashless. So is there something that may become a issue in this, and hopefully supply chain will not be one of them?
Yeah, supply chain is always going to be the issue. Luckily for us, we have 5 manufacturers making our products. We don't have an issue getting product. Supply chain, of course, is an issue because everyone feels the pain with drivers and what's happening with it. Look, you asked 2 different questions there. What are the pitfalls of what's going on, and do I think this is a flash in the pan? I'm going to take the second part first. 8 years ago, I couldn't cross the street without getting hit by a taxi. Then Uber came along. And 5 years ago, I could have found a bookstore or a toy store. Now you can't find either because of Amazon. I love brick and mortar. I do not believe brick and mortar will ever go away because we commiserate around food, we celebrate around food, and we socialize around food. And I love food, and we need food, and we need that interaction. I also have an 11-year-old son who, when he goes out to eat, I can't get the phone out of his hand. And is there a new generation coming up that only wants convenience? Is there a new generation coming up that cares more about the device in their hand than actually socializing at the table? So I do think virtual is going to continue to grow. I do think the convenience factor is going to continue to push the envelope. And I do think the way technology is evolving, I was talking to someone recently, and their prediction is the new POS is your phone. You're going to go into restaurants, sit down at a table and order on your phone, and food's going to come to you. And waiters might disappear one day. I hope not. But the labor market's getting smaller, right? Labor wages are only going up. Technology is only going to change it, whether it's drone delivery, robotics, AI, whatever it may be. So I think virtual is not only here to stay, I think we are on the cusp of what is going to be coming. DoorDash is a $270 billion company. These are not stupid people. They are going to continue to push the envelope. Uber is going to continue to push it, and so on. Now, your other question about pitfalls, it's new world, right? Restaurant people are not technology people. And anyone who's creating technology for the restaurant industry have never worked in the restaurant. So we are being forced to play in a medium that we are foreign to, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's integration with POS, whether it's how the consumer is talking to us. So that is always going to be a hurdle. The number one thing every restaurant operator needs today at this moment, if you do not have it, is POS integration. That's the number one piece of technology. And some people are like, I've had POS tech integration for 7 years. We have. So it's like, Geoff, of course we have it. You'd be surprised how many people don't have it. Look at how many restaurateurs in the last 16 months stopped using pad and paper, right? Because of what happened. And were never taking delivery before, never did carry out before. And all of a sudden they had to start taking their food and putting it in boxes without testing to see if the box worked. So the industry as a whole is behind on technology. Those of us who are in front of it have to keep pushing the envelope, but we cannot forget those that are just entering the forum.
So wait, on that particular piece, I mean, you're obviously on a call right now with a whole slew of technology professionals. I'm sure that they probably get this, and hopefully if they're in the franchisor environment, they understand the problem with franchisees who may not be sophisticated ones. But if you're selling somebody a partnership, and they don't have that technology integration, are you also selling them, besides the order taking, do you have a package that helps them to make sure they have the other pieces in place to be successful in that area?
No, yes and no. So I don't think there's other pieces they need to be successful. We have people that we think they should work with, and we have ideas to give them. At the end of the day, our system is made for literally the ice cream shop can pull this off. And trust me, the ice cream shop, most ice cream shops don't have great technology, right? You go back into history. Now, what we offer is we offer a lot of learnings that we've done on digital marketing, a brand that has no storefront. My famous line that I use for people is we have a Wild out in Fargo, North Dakota. I never thought, I love saying Fargo, North Dakota, because to me, that is the epitome of like the middle of nowhere. No disrespect to the people of Fargo. But we take WowBow that only has storefronts in Chicago or in 2 or 3 airports. And we're opening up we opened 450 locations around the country with no storefront. And the only way you can find us is on an app, if you open the app. And we have cracked code on how to market it. That is some experience that we can bring, that if you just started Geoff's hot dog stand tomorrow, how are you going to tell anyone it exists? How are you going to get people to know that this exists?
Yeah, well, I mean, but that also is part of the marketing scheme, which is, of course, a lot easier to do in the current digital environment than it would have been before.
No, but I disagree with that. I disagree with that. We all know how to market our brand. We all have a following. Look, if I'm Geoff's Pizza Shop, can I market Geoff's hot dog shop to the same people? They haven't opted in. They're not going to understand it. They're going to ask, why am I getting this information? They're going to Google it, and they're not going to find a storefront. Are they going to remember the number one thing that we have as restaurateurs to our consumers is trust. And it took all of us a long time to build that trust. You just started a to-go brand tomorrow. There's no trust. There's no information. And to say that, hey, I've been doing digital marketing for 6 years and we know how to do it, and you start a brand tomorrow, trust me, you do not know how to do digital marketing for that brand.
Well, the only thing I'd like to add, Steve, is that we've been highly successful.
Did I lose her?
I think she muted herself. Well, either
I love that she
muted or we muted.
I heard I'm highly successful. I thought that was great. If that was the whole comment, that's the best.
So this is Karen Bird with Hooters, and we've been highly successful in launching 3 virtual brands, along with marketing and photography. And we've really, they've been, I can tell you these three virtual brands have been very, very successful. So, you know, I disagree that.
But ma'am, look, I'm a huge fan of yours. You have a lot of money. Hooters has a lot of money. We
have some. We only have 320 restaurants.
Right. So you have money to do photography, to do marketing. I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you have at least 2 people in the marketing department.
Well, 2 for the entire brand as well as others. But I would also say that we used existing products that already had marketing and photography around them. And we also used our delivery service providers to help launch those. So
sure.
You know,
and again,
you don't have to have a lot of money to do that. We didn't invest a whole lot of money to do that.
Again, I appreciate the disagreement, and I'm not looking to argue with you. But the point is, if I'm an operator out there and I'm going to start something tomorrow, I don't have the resources that Hooters brings to the table.
That's true.
For instance,
I totally agree.
Right. For instance, WowBow, when we started COVID, I had 2 people in my marketing department, and we had 4 company-owned stores. We're at 450 virtual locations now, and I only have 3. And I added a 3rd person to my marketing department, only 1 more person. But I have added 5 account managers. I now have a vice president of Dark Kitchens who's running the program for me, and so on. So we've had to add people to get there. If you're out there on your own, a 1-unit restaurant group or a 10-unit restaurant group, you don't have the finances necessarily to all of a sudden do photography, R&D, have the relationships with the third parties and so on. So yes, I totally agree that you have had incredible success, and my hats are off to you. I'm talking more to the people who are not on the size and scale of who you are.
Right. I think that there's, certainly different ways to look at it. I just wanted to follow up on something that you'd said earlier. I remember when people were, talking about on food delivery and the different companies, and when Amazon was going to be in the business, right? And I guess they came and sort of went. So, but people were concerned that they were going to learn the tricks. They were going to go ahead and develop their own brands and then do it. Do you have that concern that that some of those companies will get into the business, or your delivery companies will get into the business and make some other partnerships? And like in the early days of Open Table, where people were concerned that, hey, they can see other places that may have availability, I may lose reservations. You know, that you could end up, if there's enough brands like yours out there and enough partnerships that, you know, that could be a competitive issue or challenge down the road.
Absolutely. So we have, you know, there some of these larger groups are actually coming to us and want to start running wow bows out of kitchens that they're building. So that's been, and again, we got to remember, we might be different because we're Chinese food. Not everybody can do Chinese food. If I was Geoff's hot dog stand, yeah, they might rip me off or copy me or take the learnings, whatever it may be. But we are offering a product that not everybody can create. And what we found is, as DoorDash continues to grow, Kitchen United is continuing to grow, Cloud Kitchens, what they're doing is they are looking for partners of brands that they can now operate themselves and run multiple brands out of their own built kitchens. So yes, I think what you're talking about is coming, and there is worry, you know, that they're going to, obviously, if I'm DoorDash, I'd probably focus more on my own brand as DoorDash than I would on someone else's brand. And that's why it really comes down to us as operators to make sure that our product is better than everyone else's. And we build that trust and we build that customer base so they choose Wow Bao over Geoff's Chinese.
Are you also selling in a situation where, well, you're still doing the cloud kitchens, right?
No, we ran that for about 6 months, and then we moved on from that.
So are you also setting up providers that are going out and seeking brands to represent as well, but they're doing them out of, you know, parking garages and so, I mean, you're doing those deals too, right?
So we work
as
with
a distribution method.
Sure, we work with Reef Kitchens. They're a very good partner of ours. We are working with, there are other groups out there, you know, Next Bite, Accelerate, Virtual Concept, Virtual Dining Concepts, C3, and so on. And we're talking to groups about maybe adding us to their portfolio. So as they're selling their own portfolio restaurants, because none of them, again, have Chinese in their portfolio, perhaps selling us as one of theirs. And again, because we can offer 40% to the operator, there's room for these other groups to become salespeople for us and get a royalty back on their end while growing our footprint and creating another opportunity for restaurants to have another revenue stream.
Master distributors, so to speak, territory.
Sure, possibly, yes.
And actually, your concept, you know, goes international as well, probably very well, as long as you can deal with the distribution and supply chain side, right?
We're getting ready to launch Canada. We're getting ready to launch Mexico, and we are in pretty good talks for the EU. And we have quite a bit of interest for, you know, the UAE, but like you said, distribution and halal requirements and so on changes the dynamic a little bit.
Did you say at the beginning of this that you have 8 units?
We have 4 company-owned stores, 5 airports, only 2 of which are open at the time.
Okay, great. So clearly this, you know, if you take a look at the subway model or something where they have 1 unit, I think it is, right? So I get it. This is your business model going forward. So do you go ahead yourself and would you go ahead yourself and prefer to just stick with this one brand you're doing? Or are you thinking that you actually, once you have the distribution network and stuff, these people could add other products if they've got, would you actually end up either creating new brands or bringing new brands on board under your umbrella for them?
There's the question we were hoping you weren't going to ask. We have a new brand that we are getting ready to launch in about 8 to 10 weeks.
Wait. Geoff's Hot Dogs, right?
No, close though. We have a new brand that we have partnered with somebody for manufacturing that we think we have created a concept. Now, this is different, right? Wow Bao is an 18-year-old brand, history, so on and so forth. And now we are creating one from scratch, doing a cuisine that not a lot of people are involved in right now. That is going to be that we think has really, really strong legs and real big opportunity. But here we are now creating something out of thin air and going through the motions and making sure that we have everything taken care of for the successful launch. But to your point, if I have 500 partners, overnight does those 500 partners take me on and now I have 1,000 locations? I don't know if every one of them is going to be able to prepare the new cuisine that we're bringing out. I think that there's going to be another piece of equipment required that not everyone has. But yes, that is on our thought. We also have another idea out there, possibly for down the road. Our main business is wild bottles.
Okay.
Wild is our main focus, but this is 100% on the roadmap.
Great. So you are doing something well. You are opening up MultiConcept, which, by the way, isn't so different than what Lettuce did, you know, in MultiConcept and stuff, and not all of them became multi-unit. So, but what you're doing is really being the expert in driving this innovation and the technologies and the package to figure out how to do it. But at the end of the day, you will have a distribution network, and as you've said, not everyone will qualify. They may not have the space or the equipment, but also if you continue to go along with the concept that you don't have to have hoods and fryers and all the other stuff, and I don't know what you're planning to bring out, but hot dogs can be steamed as well. So if you come up with concepts like that, you make it easier to find innovative places to go ahead and sell and distribute through.
Yeah, I mean, look, yes. This has been something we've always talked about. We did not put a lot of time and effort into creating the second brand. We started going down the road, and then something else came our way, and we pivoted for that. And we're excited to see what that opportunity can bring. And again, it's just going to help operators have another revenue stream, more money to the bottom line for them, and top line sales. So
tomorrow, 2:00 East Coast, we're going to do technology and fragmentation, as I mentioned before, with Don Fox. And Firehouse Subs, and I can tell you he does have some strong opinions, and he has a unique perspective. Plus, not only does he deal with franchisees, and he is a national brand himself, or Firehouse is, but he also is on the board of the Florida Restaurant Lodging Association, and is also looking out for what the independents and the small to medium companies need to do. We will be doing a new thing of industry speed dating. I know that there are a lot of people that have been putting speed dating together for trade shows and conferences and stuff, but really what we want to do is connections between you on subjects that you want, putting people together to be able to share one-on-one, not as a sales pitch, but to be able to share one-on-one experiences that you have or information that you need. Some people might call that needs and leads and other things like that. To do that, we would like you to go to ifbta.org /connections, and there's a survey, and then based upon the survey results, we will provide more information on how we will implement that. And that's really, you know, my announcement for today. We will have a recording posted that you'll have access to, and anybody who wants information to get hold of Geoff, you know, just let us know. He's been a big supporter of ours. He's spoken to Chicago chapter meetings, and you know, he's really very interested on this. So with that, you know, I think we'll adjourn. So thank you for joining us today. We'll talk tomorrow.